A high-stakes trade just leaked from within NRG Stadium, and the implications for the 2026 season are absolutely massive. The Houston Texans have been hyperactive this offseason, shipping out veterans and bringing in fresh talent. But nobody expected this specific name to hit the market after such a breakout year. My sources inside the building are hinting that the front office is prioritizing future draft flexibility over current depth, and the ripple effect could change the entire wide receiver room. But why would they move a rising star now? Let's dive into the truth behind this shocking roster development. Xavier Hutchinson is the name that has everyone in Houston talking right now as rumors swirl about his potential availability on the trade market. Following a 2025 campaign where the Texans gave him the biggest share of snaps and targets of his young career, Hutchinson actually delivered in a big way for this offense. He finished the season posting career-high numbers with 35 receptions for 428 yards and 3 touchdowns, proving he could be a reliable piece of the puzzle alongside Nico Collins. However, with the 2026 offseason in full swing, the front office is looking at the long-term salary cap and the looming 2026 draft. Nick Caserio has already been extremely aggressive, trading for David Montgomery and Marde Mapu, while moving on from longtime starter Titus Howard. Now, Hutchinson is entering the final year of his rookie contract, meaning Houston has a massive decision to make before he hits free agency next year. They could easily extend him, but the internal whispers suggest they might be looking to maximize his value right now through a trade. If a team is desperate for a young, productive receiver, Caserio might pull the trigger on a deal sooner than anyone expected. But the real question isn't just if they will trade him, but what specific factor is driving this potential exit from the roster. You might be surprised to learn how much cap space and draft strategy are playing into this specific move. Nick Caserio is known for being calculating, and moving a player like Hutchinson, who just had a career year, suggests a much larger plan is in motion. If they decide to ship him out, they are betting big on their ability to replace his production with younger, cheaper talent from the upcoming draft. Is this a move for flexibility or a gamble that could leave the receiving core dangerously thin? The answer lies in the financial details and the rising stars waiting in the wings who are ready to take his targets. As the draft approaches at the end of April, the clock is ticking on Hutchinson's future in the Lone Star State, and the trade calls are already starting to come in from across the league. But wait until you hear about the specific financial savings that are making this trade almost impossible for the front office to ignore as they plan for the next phase of this championship window. Do you think trading away a young producer like Hutchinson is the right move for this franchise right now? I want to hear your thoughts in the comments because this roster is changing fast. Make sure to subscribe to the channel and hit that like button so you never miss an inside scoop on the Texans. Now, let's look at the money. Nick Caserio is the architect behind this aggressive strategy, and he is looking at the math very differently than most fans might expect. While Hutchinson's production was solid, shipping him out in a trade would actually save the Texans upwards of $3.6 million against the salary cap. That might seem like a small number in the grand scheme of an NFL budget, but for a GM like Caserio who loves to keep his options open, that is significant ammunition for late off-season additions or mid-season adjustments. Historically, Caserio is an executive who is prone to making moves that secure future draft flexibility, even if it's just for a day 3 pick. He understands that the value of a player on an expiring rookie deal is highest right before their final season begins. If they don't see Hutchinson as a long-term starter who justifies a second contract worth millions, getting value for him now is the quintessential Caserio move. The receiver room would certainly get thinner without him, but the internal belief is that the roster can absorb the blow. We are seeing a shift in priority toward players like Tank Dell and Jalen Noel, who are expected to command even more of the target share in the coming months. Plus, there is the factor of Jaden Higgins, the 2025 second-rounder who started to catch fire toward the end of last year. The coaching staff is incredibly high on Higgins' trajectory, and there's a feeling that Hutchinson might actually be blocking his path to a true breakout season. By moving Hutchinson, the Texans aren't just gaining a draft pick and cap space. They are clearing the runway for Higgins to become a primary weapon in this aerial attack. It's a cold, calculated approach to roster building that prioritizes the future over the present depth. However, this isn't a forced move. The Texans aren't in a position where they have to dump Hutchinson for nothing. My sources indicate that if the market doesn't provide a pick that satisfies Caserio's valuation, they are perfectly happy bringing Hutchinson back for the final year of his deal. He is a professional who knows the system and has the trust of the quarterback. But with 8 selections in the upcoming draft, The front office is already scouting rookie wideouts who could fill the void at a fraction of the cost. It's a high-stakes game of asset management that defines the modern NFL, and the Texans are playing it to the absolute limit this year. The technical impact of a potential Xavier Hutchinson trade goes far beyond just one spot on the depth chart. It signals a fundamental philosophy shift for the Houston Texans as they navigate the 2026 season. By considering a move for a player who just posted career highs, Nick Caserio is demonstrating that no one outside of the core elite is safe if a trade can improve the team's long-term health. The $3.6 million in cap savings is the key metric here. That money could be the difference between signing a veteran defensive tackle during training camp or having the space to absorb an injury later in the year. When you look at the wide receiver room, the hierarchy is becoming very clear. Nico Collins remains the alpha, but the emergence of Jaden Higgins has changed the math for everyone else. If the Texans believe Higgins is ready to leap into that number 2 role, Hutchinson becomes a luxury they might not be able to afford when he hits free agency in 2027. We also have to look at the draft capital. A day 3 pick might not sound like much to the average fan, but for this front office, it's another lottery ticket to find a contributor on a cheap 4-year deal. This is how you sustain success in a league with a hard cap. You move players a year too early rather than a year too late. The impact on the field would mean more pressure on Tank Dell to stay healthy and more reliance on Jalen Noel to take a step forward in his development. If they trade Hutchinson and don't hit on a replacement in the draft, the depth could become a major concern if the injury bug hits the receiver room. However, the Texans are clearly betting on their scouting department to find a rookie who can provide 80% of Hutchinson's production at 20% of the cost. This is the blueprint for the 2026 season. Stay young, stay flexible, and keep accumulating assets. The front office is operating with a sense of urgency that suggests they believe their championship window is wide open right now, and they want every dollar and draft pick to count. Expect the Texans to remain one of the most active teams on the phones as we get closer to draft night. Whether it's Hutchinson or another veteran, this roster is far from finished, and the next few weeks will determine the direction of this franchise for years to come. Ultimately, the situation with Xavier Hutchinson is a perfect microcosm of how the Houston Texans are operating under this current regime. It's about more than just one wide receiver. It's about a commitment to a vision that prioritizes maximum roster efficiency and financial discipline. If Hutchinson is traded, it isn't a reflection of his talent after all. He just had his best year, but rather a reflection of the team's belief in their own ability to identify and develop new talent. For the fans, it can be frustrating to see a productive, likable player potentially shipped out, but this is the price of building a sustainable contender in the modern NFL. The meaning behind this move is clear. The Texans are no longer just trying to compete. They are trying to master the art of roster management to ensure they stay at the top for a decade. If they keep him, they get a motivated player in a contract year who knows he has to perform to earn his next big payday. If they trade him, they gain the flexibility that has become the hallmark of the Caserio era. Either way, the Texans are in a position of strength, and that is a testament to how far this organization has come in a short amount of time. The next few weeks will be telling as the trade market heats up and the draft board starts to finalize. Will they value the proven production of Hutchinson, or will they chase the potential of a draft pick and extra cap space? This decision will echo throughout the locker room and the standings this fall. I want to know where you stand on this. Should the Texans keep the chemistry and depth with Hutchinson, or is the $3.6 million in a draft pick too good to pass up? Let me know your trade scenarios in the comments below. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe to the channel for the most in-depth Texans coverage you will find anywhere. We are staying on top of every phone call and every rumor coming out of the front office as the 2026 season approaches. This is a massive turning point for the roster, and you won't want to miss what happens next. The Houston Texans are making moves, and the league is officially on notice. Stay tuned, because the off-season fireworks are just getting started.